Hello, my name is Becky. I work as an interpreter and an actor. I'm here at the Royal Exchange Theatre in Manchester. And I'm here because I will be BSL interpreting the Royal Exchange's production of A Streetcar Named Desire. This is the sign I use for that title. The BSL interpreted performances are on Tuesday, the 4th of October at 7:30 p.m. and Thursday, the 6th of October at 2:30 p.m. During the show, I will be interpreting on stage, and I'll show you specifically where I'll be. Sometimes I'll be stood here, interpreting from here. Sometimes I'll be stood here, interpreting. Sometimes I'll be stood here. And sometimes I might be stood here. Also, just to let you know, there may be times throughout the show when I move around on stage, which means that there'll be some interaction with the actors. Seats have been reserved for BSL users, which means that our deaf audience will definitely be able to see the interpretation throughout. I'll show you where those seats are. So the BSL audience seats are in this area here. It's the area in between door 6 over there and door 7. A Streetcar Named Desire is set in America, in New Orleans. And the action specifically takes place in the apartment of Stella and Stanley. They're a married couple. Now, before we have a bit of a closer look at the set, I'm going to explain about the characters from the play. Come with me. So as I said, now I'll explain a wee bit about the characters from the play and who they are. This is Stella, and this is the sign name I'll use for Stella. This man is Stanley, and this is the sign name I'll use for him. Stella and Stanley are married. This woman is our protagonist. Her name is Blanche, and this is the sign name I'll use for her. Blanche and Stella are sisters. Blanche is the older sister and Stella is the younger sister. This man is called Mitch, and the sign name I'll use for him is like that. Mitch is a friend of Stanley's. This man is called Steve, and this is his sign name. He's also a friend of Stanley's. And this woman is called Eunice, and this is her sign name. Eunice and Steve are married, and they live in the upstairs apartment. Now this is Pablo, and here's his sign name. He's also a friend with Stanley. And just to let you know, Pablo, Steve, and Mitch, and where is he? Stanley, they love to play poker. Now finally, there are 3 characters. This man here, this lady here, and this lady here, who are very interesting characters because in a way they're perhaps a little ambiguous in this production. I don't want to say too much about them because perhaps when you watch the play you can get a sense for yourself of who they are. But just to let you know, those three characters are on stage pretty much throughout the whole play, so that could be a really interesting thing for you to have a look and work out who you think they might be. So as you know, the play takes place in the apartment of Stella and Stanley. The apartment is pretty small. There are just 2 rooms. And now I'll show you those 2 rooms. This one where I'm stood is the main area. This is the bed of Stella and Stanley. And the other room is back there behind the glass. That's the bathroom. And the main room that I'm stood in here also has the place where Blanche sleeps, which is over here. I'll show you. This is it here. This is where Blanche sleeps. It's her bed. So now I'll briefly explain about what happens in the play and about the plot. The play begins in the summertime. The temperature is high and it's sweltering. Stella is pregnant and Stella and Stanley are expecting their baby. However, they're not expecting the arrival of Blanche. When Blanche arrives, Stella is pleased to see her older sister and welcomes her warmly. Stanley, however, has a pretty different response. Stanley and Blanche meet for the first time, and Stanley becomes suspicious of Blanche after learning that Stella and Blanche's family home, a mansion as such, has been lost, meaning that their family money has been lost. Stanley suspects that Blanche may be cheating Stella of her share of the sale of the house. Blanche stays in the apartment with Stella and Stanley, and things get tricky as the tension between the 3 of them mounts. In a way, it's a bit like the summer heat. Just as that mounts, the tension within the apartment mounts. While staying with Stella and Stanley, Blanche meets Mitch, and there's a mutual attraction. However, Stanley overhears a conversation and hears Blanche saying some bad things about him. Furious, Stanley looks into Blanche's past, finds some information about her, and passes this on to Mitch, who, on hearing this, loses all interest in Blanche. As Stella's baby arrives, indeed on the same night, Blanche becomes more and more distraught and drinks and drinks. Stanley's been at the hospital, but when he arrives home, he and Blanche argue and argue. And with a dramatic build, the final scene of the play sees the male characters playing poker, whilst at the same time, life for Blanche changes enormously. How it changes, I won't give away. you'll have to come and watch the play. So maybe if you're now intrigued about the production of A Streetcar Named Desire, I will now explain how you can book tickets. The first way is by emailing box.25@royalexchange.co.uk. If you email that address, it's important that you ask for a BSL ticket, which, by the way, costs £10. Or the other way to book a BSL seat is to pop into the theatre and visit the box office just here. Ask the staff here for a BSL ticket and they'll gladly sell you one so you can watch the play. Oh, the other thing that's important to let you know is you might have seen that already. It looks on the Royal Exchange's website like the BSL interpreted performances are sold out, but don't let that worry you, because there are seats available for a deaf audience. So either email or visit the box office, ask for a BSL ticket, and you'll be able to get one. The final thing to let you know is that next year, in February 2017, Grey Eye Theatre Company will be performing here at the Royal Exchange, and they will be performing a play called The House of Bernarda Alba. And every single performance of that show has BSL and has captions. So if you're intrigued and would like to know more, keep an eye on the website. Thank you for watching now. Bye-bye.